Hi folks, this is Tom K. I'm making my second in a series of video editorials, and this subject is deeply moving to me. Back before 2006, I was never questioned the government really. I mean, I knew they did stuff that they weren't supposed to because I'm a vet, and but I was never really a religious person. I always believed in God and Jesus, but you wouldn't see me going to church for sure, and I wouldn't don't preach to people, and I still try not to preach too much, but things have kind of changed a little bit. I got kind of in a spiritual mode and started reading the Bible. It was all of a sudden out of the blue. And this thing started snowballing, and first time in my life I went to church and started doing a Bible study. And this went on for about 3 months, and I had a dream one night back in January of 2006, and the dream entailed me getting a treasure map from this lady. It was kind of like sort of after there wasn't any people around in the world, and it was real quiet, and we were walking down a road that should have had traffic on it, but it didn't have any traffic on it, and things were kind of overgrown, so it seemed like it was in the future sometime after shit hit the fan, I guess, if you can say that. And so anyways, I get this treasure map from a lady on her deathbed, and she hands me this. It's a leather treasure map. And it's a long dream, and I'm going to kind of shorten the dream up a little bit and go to the end. In the end, we find the place where the treasure's hidden, and it seems to be in the Mediterranean somewhere. And it's a old dilapidated house on a rocky island, and I'm with a couple of people, and so we get in a boat and go out to this house, and the people with me are going, "Oh, we come all this way and there's no treasure here." And I said, "Don't worry, I know it's here." So we went into this. The whole house was messed up, beat down, roof missing, but there was this one little like office area. It was just a real simple office area, simple furniture, and I knew there was a secret door under a table in this office, so I hit the secret door, and once you go inside the secret door, there's this big long hall, and it's covered with this beautiful wood, sort of like the way boats are made. The old boats are made out of wood, but the hall's covered with it, and it's long, and it smells like cedar, like really wonderful smell. So we go down to this hall, and after a couple of dead-end corners, we decide to come back into this little tiny place we missed, and we go in there, and then here's this room. It's full of wooden animals, full-size wooden animals, and I go around the corner, and there's this chest just flowing full of gold and gems and artifacts, you name it. And we realized that we hit the mother lode. So one of the people I'm with pulls off the head off of one of the wooden animals, and inside it's just filled with beautiful gems. So on my way out, there's this lamb on the shelf. It's a little lamb, and I pick it up and I take the head off of it and pour the gems out of it, and they weren't really gems. They were like white, milky white stones, nothing special about them. So I just happened to kind of put them in my pocket. And as soon as I did that, then in the next part of the dream, I'm outside of this building, and I feel something on my back, and I look back and I notice I'm growing wings, and everybody around me is growing wings too. So we start to fly up into the air, and it's a little tricky at first. We can't really quite figure out how to control it, but I start to figure it out, and then I kind of get comfortable with it, and we fly up over the ocean or the sea, wherever we are, and there's this huge ring of fire in the ocean, and I'm flying over this ring of fire looking down, and I reach in my pocket and pull out these gems, and unload the gems, I just drop them into the ring of fire, and instantly all these people come flying up out of the ring of fire and into this beautiful hole in the sky. And as the people fly up, they turn from like black to color, and they're yelling and happy and everything. So anyways, that's the end of the dream. I wake up, and I could still, after I woke up, I smelled the wood from the treasure room. It was the strangest thing. 2 or 3 hours, I could still smell that wood. So I was pretty moved by this dream. I mean, and it was so realistic and so profound. The next day, I decided I wanted to do something that I thought Jesus would approve of. So I get in my Suburban. I had a Suburban at the time, and I was going to go down to the city park where there was a lot of homeless people, and I was going to pick up just any homeless person. And on my way down there, I had to cross the Colorado River, and a voice in my head said, "Hey, look to the right." So I did, and I looked over, and there's, on this bench, where no other homeless people ever stayed, was a guy laying on the bench. So I went over and picked him up. I walked up to him, and I asked him, would you like to come to my house? I'll give you a hot meal, and you can do some laundry or whatever. And he stood up, and he was this tall, 65-year-old black man with a big old square beard and everything. And I'm going to put a link down below with pictures and everything. And explains a lot more, because I only have 10 minutes here. So I took him home, and it was real cold. It was January. He had icicles in his beard when I picked him up. It was so cold that morning. So I took him home, and he took a shower. I offered him a shower, and he handed me a couple shirts, and I washed the shirts for him. And while he was in the shower, I made some tuna helper. Just simple meal, but nice, hot, filling comfort food. And when he got out of the shower, he ate that, and I offered him a soda, and he didn't take the soda, but he wanted some water, and I had some orange juice, and he drank that too. Anyway, so I was going to get in a conversation on how he got homeless, and at that time I hadn't been drinking for a long time, so I thought maybe I could help him out if the drinking was his problem. Well, turns out this guy just blew me away. He was so confident in what he said, and he had so many strange things to say, and before the day was over, he asked if he could stay for a little bit. And I had an old motorhome parked out back, and we didn't really use it, so I told him, yeah, if you want to clean up the motorhome out back, you're welcome to stay in there for a few days. And so he went out and cleaned up the motorhome, and I brought him a VCR and got him I put a little microwave in there for him and things like that, and set him up so he could kind of camp out for a few days. And make a long story short, he ended up staying for a month. This guy was different. Even my wife said he was a holy man. So we had him in for dinner that night, the first night he was there, and after talking to him, I asked him, "Are you Jesus?" I mean, straight up, I'm a straight up guy. I was like, "Are you Jesus? You know some weird stuff." He was like, and after a month of time, he told me a lot of things, and it's in the link. He said that he was the last prophet of God. He was the only one connected to God, and that he was chronologically number 22. And on and on and on. Told me about how to cure cancer, AIDS, all kinds of stuff. And we spent a month together doing all kinds of stuff. I got a Social Security card. I was trying to get him a CAT scan because he wanted to get a CAT scan to prove to people that he shouldn't be alive. He told me that Mary Magdalene was the mother of Jesus. He said all kinds of stuff. It's just, there's so much stuff in there. He said I got online and started blogging about him because after I asked him if it was okay, and he said yes, you know. And the first place I went to was a Christian forum, and I had never written in any forums before this. So, and they were assholes. They ended up kicking me off the forum after a while and calling this guy a false prophet and all this shit. And I was just bringing a story to him, you know. And so I started kind of I was acting like a reporter and taking notes. You know, I'd go out and ask him questions and take notes about all kinds of different things. You know, he said there's a big book that God has, and he records every detail, every little hair on our head is recorded. You name it. There's other dimensions in the world, and there's people that live on Earth that are from Saturn. And some of the Saturn's people are good, and some of them are bad. But these are basically the aliens of Earth. And if you watch the movie Event, right, or the show on TV, The Event, it's sort of, I'm kind of wondering, are they disclosing this? He says, well, why would they be sending out probes and stuff to all Saturn's moons and stuff if they're not going to be checking out Saturn? And I mean, some of the things he said at first were kind of like, well, I don't know. But after he left after a month, my wife ended up asking him to leave. She was getting a little jealous of him, I think, I don't know. And it was a difficult time in our lives. And if you read the story, you'll see that I ended up leaving her for a while because of that. But anyways, I want to put a face to this, okay? Because I'm a human being. I have feelings. And I asked him, I said, how am I going to make people believe what you're telling me? And he says, you don't have to make them believe. Just tell them the story. So here's the story.